Thank you for joining us here at the Pentecostals for this week's message. Our desire is to make a difference by loving God, creating community, growing in truth, and serving our world. If God has blessed you through this ministry, we want to encourage you to share it with someone and even consider partnering with us to help POR continue delivering God's Word all around the world. Check out our website, porva.org, to discover more about us and our ministries. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed today's message.
We're going to jump right into Genesis 25, 29 through 34. I'm going to be reading from the New Living Translation. So here we are. We're going to start with verse 29. One day when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau arrived home from the wilderness, exhausted and hungry. Esau said to Jacob, "I'm starved. Give me some of that red stew." And Esau said to Jacob, "I'm starved." Okay, we already got that part. But now, how about, that's how Esau got his name, Edom, which means red. So you guys heard about the Edomites, whatever. That's basically the Redites. That's where they came from. And all right, Jacob replied, "but trade me your rights as the firstborn son." "Look, I'm dying of starvation," said Esau. "What good is my birthright now?" But Jacob said, "First you must swear that your birthright is mine." So Esau swore an oath, thereby selling all his rights as the firstborn to his brother Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and lentil stew, and Esau ate the meal, then got up and left. Well, you may be seated. Today we're going to hear a lot about Jacob. We're going to hear about him, but the truth is we hear about Jacob all the time. We know about Jacob. Everybody here knows the story of Jacob for the most part. If you've been in church for very long, you know that he went on to do great things. We know that he got the birthright. We know that he got to marry the love of his life. And we know that he had 12 sons that grew into the 12 tribes. And we know that Jacob wrestled with God. And we know that Jacob had his name changed to Israel. And that's still what the descendants of his are called today. And well, that and a whole lot more happened for Jacob. Well, what about Esau? What about the man who's known more for what he missed out on than what he accomplished? What about the guy who seemed to lose more than he won? What about the guy that gave away his birthright? Esau, the man who was left asking not once but several times, "What about me? What do I get? Where do I fit? What about my needs? What about my future? What about me?" If you know about Esau's story, you know his reputation isn't the greatest, and he earned some of that bad press that he got. Who sells their birthright for a bowl of stew? I mean, we're not even talking about filet mignon. We're talking about stew. People who say I would kill for a burger right now, right? Don't, if Esau says that, you better run if you're around Esau, you know what I'm saying? Because it seems like he literally would kill somebody for a burger. This guy gets hungry and he means business when he's hungry. I mean, I know that they didn't have a Popeyes and a new little chicken sandwich there that he could just run around the corner and get, okay? I know, y'all, that's some crazy stuff right there. That line's backed up all the way to Hall Street and down Hall Street. I don't know what's going on with that sandwich, but I know it ain't that good. Esau would be waiting in that line. He'd cut the line. That's what he would do. But I know that they don't have quick meals that he could just grab real quick somewhere. No, I mean, he had to make the meal and somebody had to prepare it. But seriously, was it worth selling your birthright? Well, unfortunately, it gets worse from there for him. Not only did Esau give away his birthright, but he lost out on his father's blessing. Jacob and Esau's father is Isaac, and he was getting older, and it came time for him to give away the blessing to one of his boys, and the blessing was supposed to go to Esau. Why? Because he was the oldest. The Old Testament patriarchs, they all gave formal blessings to their children. The blessing was meant for the oldest son. Receiving it was a high honor, and losing it was a big deal. And once it was given, it was forever. It could not be taken back. And an Old Testament blessing of a father to his sons included 3 elements, and Esau wanted all 3 of these. First, the blessing was words of encouragement. Next, details regarding the inheritance. And next, prophetic words concerning the future. Well, listen to the words that Esau would never hear spoken over him. This is what he would not hear. Verse 28, from the dew of heaven and the richness of the earth, may God always give you abundant harvest of grain and bountiful new wine. May many nations become your servants, and may they bow down to you, and may you be the master over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. All who curse you will be cursed, and all who bless you will be blessed. He doesn't get to hear that. The words would be spoken over Jacob, the deceiver. Jacob was good at getting things that belonged to his brother. He tricked him out of his birthright all by himself, but to get the blessing, Jacob was going to need a little bit of help. Jacob and Esau's mother, she had a favorite son. She preferred Jacob. Jacob liked to stay in the tent while Esau was out hunting, you know. I have a feeling that Jacob was the one inside the tent there watching house hunters with mom during the day while Esau's out working, or maybe it was tent hunters or something. And he's in there hanging out with mom, and maybe they're cooking or whatever else, you know, and they're buddies, and who knows why he was her favorite. But one thing we do know is that Rebekah wanted to make sure that her favorite son received the father's blessing. So one day she overheard a conversation taking place. Here we go in verse 1 of chapter 27. One day when Isaac was old and turning blind, he called for Esau, his older son, and said, "My son." "Yes, father," Esau replied. "I am an old man now," Isaac said, "and I don't know when I may die. Take your bow and a quiver full of arrows and go out into the open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare my favorite dish and bring it here for me to eat. Then I will pronounce the blessing that belongs to you, my firstborn son, before I die." Dad plans to bless Esau, but mom has other ideas. While Esau has gone hunting, Rebekah has Jacob bring her 2 young goats, and she makes her husband's favorite meal with them. But that's only the beginning of like what she has in mind of what she's planning. So she tells Jacob to disguise himself. She's got this all figured out. Sounds like she'd been planning it for a while. I don't know. She says, if he can fool his blind father into believing that Esau is the one in the room, he can steal the blessing that doesn't belong to him and add it to the birthright that wasn't his either. Let's look at verse 14. So Jacob went out and got the young goats for his mother Rebekah and took them and prepared a delicious meal just the way Isaac liked it. Then she took Esau's favorite clothes, which were there in the house, his favorite clothes, come on now, and gave them to her younger son Jacob. She covered his arms and the smooth part of his neck with the skin of the young goats. In verse 17, then she gave Jacob the delicious meal, including freshly baked bread. And so Jacob took the food to his father. "My father," he said. "Yes, my son," Isaac answered. "Who are you, Esau or Jacob?" And Jacob replied, "It's Esau, your firstborn son." "I've done as you told me," and here's the wild game. "Now sit up and eat it so you can give me your blessing." He is like, eat. No, sit up, let's go. Verse 21, then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come closer so I can touch you and make sure that you really are Esau." So Jacob went closer to his father, and Isaac touched him. "The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are Esau's," Isaac said. But he did not recognize Jacob because Jacob's hands felt hairy, just like Esau's. So Isaac prepared to bless Jacob. First of all, dude, Esau, how hairy are you, bro? It's goat skin. And it's like, wow, you feel just like Esau. My goodness. She put that stuff on his neck. That dude's got hair. Wow. I'm sorry, I had to stop there for a moment because I can't get past how hairy this guy must have been. Esau the bear. Jacob has to tell a few bold-faced lies here, okay? Even to go as far as to say that the reason he was able to get the meal so fast, all right? Isaac's like, hold on. I just said go out, take a quiver full of arrows and go into the open country and go kill something and bring it back and cook it. And just a few minutes later, Jacob comes in and it's like, here I am, you know what I mean? And he's like, how this happened so fast? And then Jacob's all like, God put it in my path. That's what he says. God put it in my path. Oh, I'm sure he put it in your path. He put it in your path that's right there out the back door in the pen that the goats are in. That's a really quick path. He's lying, bold-faced to his dad. So he convinces Isaac that he's Esau, and he receives the words of favor and a future that were meant for his brother. And by the time Esau returns from his hunting trip, it's over, and the opportunity is gone forever. Now, I want you to think about this for just a moment. Esau is out hunting. This hit me hard this week. I woke up. Several days. I just had this feeling, man. I believe it's for people here as well. But I just felt terrible for Esau as I'm reading this story. It was impacting me in a lot of ways. Mainly because I know that there's people that are dealing with the same situation here. But he's out hunting and he's doing exactly what the father asked him to do. He's working hard to meet the father's expectations, and he changed. He's different now. He didn't take his birthright seriously. He blew that, and he knows it. And this time, Esau says to himself, things are going to be different. I'm not going to mess up this one, not this time. He doesn't even take shortcuts. He could have gone out to the goat pen like Jacob did, but he could have skipped the whole hunting trip. He could have done it his own way to make it easier on himself. But Esau is following orders. He's submitted, and he's in the will of the Father. And he gets home just in time to find out that Isaac had just finished blessing the wrong brother. Try to see this from Esau's perspective for just a moment. He's thinking, I'm out there doing what Dad told me to do. I'm hunting. I'm working hard. I'm not taking shortcuts. And I'm finally going to get things right. I'm not going to make any more mistakes. There's no more laziness here. I'm not going to fail to take this seriously this time. And he walks in to tell his dad, I did what you asked. I'm here, and you're going to be proud of me this time, Dad. Here I am. And verse 32 says, but Isaac asked him, who are you? Esau replied, it's your son. It's your firstborn son, Esau. And Isaac began to tremble uncontrollably, and he said, then who just served me wild game? I have already eaten it, and I blessed him before you came. And yes, that blessing must stand. Before you ask, it has to stand. It's over. Once the blessing was given, it couldn't be taken back, and it was a done deal, and it was over, and Esau is furious at this point. Verse 34, when Esau heard his father's words, he let out a bitter cry, oh, my father, what about me? What about me? Before we go any further, I'd ask you today, has anybody ever really felt yourself you can identify maybe with Esau here in this moment? He said, let me tell you this, there's nothing worse than doing everything you thought you were supposed to do and not getting what you thought you were supposed to get. Come on, can I get an amen? You're doing everything you thought you were supposed to do, and I'm not getting what I thought I was supposed to get. Isn't that annoying? I think it's annoying. How about this on a lighter side? You start a diet. You're saying, I want to do this diet. I'm going to do it. Maybe you're going to start doing the keto diet. Okay, it's the no carbs stuff. You're going to start in on that. You're all in. You're like, okay, for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to do this. I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to make it happen. Oh, my goodness. And you're going to eat nothing but like a teaspoon of tuna and a piece of broccoli for 3 weeks. You got that one piece of broccoli, and you're chopping it up in portions. I'm going to do this. I'm going to starve myself if I have to, but I'm going to make it work. No carbs. And then your friend finds out about it. You're already on like week 2.5. And they're like, oh, what you doing? I'm on a keto diet. My goodness. Okay, that's cool. I want to join too, your friend says. I'll do it. I'll do it. What you doing? Keto. I heard that. And that's some sort of karate? No. No. That's a diet. It's a diet. It's a no-carb diet. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to do it too. I will join it too. You check back in. It's just a few days later. You're at week 3 and they're like on, a few days into it. And they didn't even do it right. They're not even doing the diet right. They're just eating pancakes and potatoes all day. And they're like, I thought that was the diet. I thought it was an all-carb diet. And then you both weigh yourself. They have already lost 22 pounds and you've gained 12 pounds. And you're trying to figure out, what about me? Life isn't fair. And all because you're just hungry and you're upset at that point. You want to punch them in their pancake-eating mouth. Not really, don't do that. That's all kind of funny, but what about the other times when you do all that you know to do and you're doing the right thing as much as you know how to do it, and the situation's just not that funny? What about the couple that's trying to have a baby and they're praying and they've been going to doctor's appointments and it's been years and it seems like it's just not happening, and they're trying and they're saying, God, we really want a baby. We feel like it's for us, and what's going on? And then there's this other couple that's just celebrating their first year's anniversary, and all of a sudden they're posting videos online of the gender reveal parties, and they're thinking to themselves, wait a second, they weren't even trying, it just happened. And they're talking to the couple, and the couple's like, yeah, I don't know, yeah, we just had a baby. And they're saying, well, wait a second, we've been praying, we've been fasting, we've been trying like crazy, what's going on? What about me? What about us? God, have you forgotten us? For years, we've been in tears. For years, we've been trying. For years, we've been paying for doctors. All of this, and this other couple it just happens. What about me? There's some single people in here today that know where I'm going with this next one. You've been praying. You've been fasting. You've been serving God. You've been speaking in faith about that spouse that God's going to send you. And then there's that other person. They don't even necessarily want a relationship. They weren't even necessarily interested in dating. And then all of a sudden, they just find somebody and just chemistry was right. And a few weeks later, they're like, I think we're going to get married and we're going to get engaged. And they get married and they seem so happy. And you're saying, wait a second. And they didn't even have a single profile, one profile on any of the apostolic dating sites. And all this just falls into their lap. And here they are. You're saying, what about me? I've gone to all the singles conferences. I've read all the books about being prepared to be married and all that. And it just happens for that person. What about me? What about me? How about somebody that's out there been saying, I've been serving God. I've been paying my tithes. I've been giving to Faith Promise. And then I see all these testimonies with these people, and the God's opening up the windows of heaven right on them. He's just dumping boatloads of cash on them, it appears. And then here I am, and I applied for that management position, and I got passed over. And I've been doing everything I'm supposed to do. I've been doing everything that I've been called to do, and I keep saying, well, God, wait a second, why them and not me? What about me? You will eventually come to a moment in your life when you're doing everything that God told you to do, and someone else walks in the room and seemingly gets instantly everything that you thought you were supposed to get. And you're asking along with Esau, what about me? That's where Esau's at here. He saw his big brother get a blessing that was reserved for him. And his first reaction wasn't patient, it wasn't kind, it wasn't peaceful. His first reaction was bitterness. And sometimes that's our first reaction when someone gets what we think we deserve. And we won't admit it though. We talk a big game, you know what I'm saying? We'll say, I'm not bitter. No, I'm so happy. Oh, they got that promotion. They got this. I am so happy for them. Boy, they deserve it. Those are wonderful people. And then you see them at Walmart. and then you pull up, you're like, as soon as you see them, you hold up your box of Fruit Loops and you're hiding from them. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh man, I don't want to see them. I don't want, as soon as you see them, something happens inside. You're thinking to yourself, they seem like somebody that'd be shopping at Walmart anyways. While you're in Walmart. And they get all frustrated, and you hear they get married, or they get the new job, or there's something. Maybe they just got married, and you're looking at them and saying, I'm so happy when you see them. My God, it is so good that you're married. This is wonderful. You deserve happiness. And when you get behind the scenes, you're thinking to yourself, that ain't going to last. It ain't going to last. Hey, listen, I ain't one to judge, but I just know it ain't going to last. I'm going to give them 6 months. You know what? I'm going to be generous. I'm going to give them 8 months because it's up to me anyways. Somebody gets a new job, and you're like, oh, man, that ain't going to last. Nuh-uh. As soon as that boss finds out who they really are, I know who they really are, they're going to get fired. I know it. But it's so good, man. I'm so glad God blessed you with that job. Man, I've been praying with you. We're bitter. We're bitter. And that's where Esau is at, a place of bitterness. He gave away his birthright, then he lost his blessing. And it's easy to look at the rest of his story and say, wow, what a terrible life. Come on, if we're being honest, we're looking at Esau like, that's terrible. Man. And for a lot of us, that brings us to the end of the story of Esau, of what we know about Esau. That he was too impatient, that he was careless, that it was just a few minutes too late. That's the story of Esau. That's on his epitaph. That's who he was. But there's more to his story. And Jacob may have gotten the better blessing, but God saved something for the son that tried his best to do the Father's will. I want to point out a sentence in the Bible that you might have never seen before, and if I was allowed to bet, which I'm not, and I wouldn't anyways, I'd bet you haven't seen it before. So I'm just going to think and imagine that you haven't seen it. And I believe these words can change someone's life today, and if you allow it, it'll change your life the way it changed Esau's. See, he knew that the blessing was gone. He knew that it was already too late there, but he said, I want to know what's left. Is there anything left for me? What about me? Verse 38. Esau pleaded, but do you have only one blessing, O my father? Bless me too. Then Esau broke down and wept. And here we go. Okay, so Esau's ready. He says, okay, here it is. Isaac's here. I'm crying. I'm going to make my case. Everything's going to turn around for me. Man, this is going to get good. Okay? I'm believing that something great's going to happen here. So here we are. Hit me with it, Father. Give me something good. So finally the father said, Isaac said to him, you will live away from the richness of the earth. Oh, okay. Thanks, Dad. I'm looking for some encouragement here, and you just said, basically, I'm going to be poor. Thanks, Dad. All right, so then, all right, okay. I'm going to be poor. What else we got, though? Give me something else, okay? And away from the dew of the heaven above. Oh, so it's not going to rain, so I'm going to live in a drought the rest of my life. I'm not going to be able to raise any crops. I'm basically going to thirst to death. Okay, man, thanks. This is really, helpful dad here. And then here we go, verse 40. You will live by your sword and you will serve your brother. Oh, so I'm going to have to kill people to survive. This is great. I'm going to be poor. I'm going to be thirsty. And I'm going to be killing people just to live. And I'm going to have to serve my brother that's lying to me. This is Dad's encouragement. This is what we know about Esau. But listen. This is what I want you to see. This is what I want you to see. Come on, are you ready? Are you ready for this? But when you decide to break free, you will shake his yoke from your neck. Come on, somebody. Esau, when you decide to break free, when you decide to stop living in bondage, like God, I'm in bondage. I don't know what's going on in my life. Everything's falling apart. When I decide to break free, when you decide to stop acting like God has forgotten you, when you decide to stop being bitter towards the world, when you decide that you've had enough self-pity, come on, somebody. When you decide to break free, you will be free. When you decide to stop acting like the world has all forgotten you and God's forgotten you, and you start to recognize that God will do, and he still can do exceedingly abundantly above all than you could ask or think, then you will break free from the yoke that's around your neck when you decide. In one statement, God puts the keys to deliverance in Esau's hands, and it says, it's your move. When you are ready, I'm ready. Come on. It's your move. Jacob, listen here. After Jacob steals the blessing, here we go. He leaves town. Jacob leaves town. He's like, peace out. I got to go because my big bro has got a bow. I'm out of here. But after a lot of years and a lot of heart change, Jacob heads back home. Okay, some times pass. Jacob's had all, that's the story we know about Jacob. And he's going to go try to find him a woman, and everything's going good. And man, he gets a couple of them. That's weird. But a lot of stuff happens in Jacob's life, but his heart's better. He's having a transformation in his heart, and here we are. And you might think that because Jacob is so blessed and he got the blessing that Esau missed out, and Esau missed out on a blessing, that Jacob thinks he's going to find his brother living a miserable life. And he's going to go back to the old neighborhood, but when he does, things have changed. And Esau here, he didn't stay stuck in the what if mode. He didn't stay stuck in the what if things had gone differently. What if I received a blessing and he didn't? What if I had gotten what I was supposed to? What if? That's where we think Esau would be, because many times that's where we would be. No, at some point, Esau followed the instructions embedded in the prophecy he received. When you decide to break free. But Jacob, he has no idea that Esau got a word as well. See, he hasn't seen his brother in years. And for all he knows, Esau is still wanting to use him for target practice. So before he has a face-to-face meeting with the guy who swindled and stole from him, he decides to send some gifts ahead. Esau, he missed the blessing, so surely he's going to be kind of needing some stuff. And I got some stuff, so I'm going to send some stuff ahead. So Jacob prepares a whole bunch of goats and sheep and donkeys and what's nots. And he hopes that that's enough to take the edge off of Esau's anger. And he's assuming that his brother's holding the grudge, and he's assuming that his brother is still saying, what about me? But guess what? He's wrong. Verse number 3. As he approached his brother, he bowed to the ground 7 times before him. Then Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and threw his arms around his neck and kissed him. And they both wept. That yoke of bitterness was broken off a long time ago. And let me hear me. Here's how we know it was broken off. Esau could now embrace the man that used to infuriate him. He had made a decision that he refused to hate. He made a decision that he refused to compare. He made a decision that he refused to hold on to the past. When you can celebrate the person that got what you wanted, the yoke is broken. I'm going to say it again. When you can celebrate with the person that got what you wanted, then the yoke is broken. When you can cheer on the person that got where you hope to be, then the yoke is broken. When you can be happy for the person that got promoted on the job or the ministry, then the yoke is broken. In fact, he's so over it, he doesn't even understand why Jacob felt the need to give gifts in the first place. His brother was home. That's the only gift that Esau needed or wanted. He's like, what's the gifts? What's going on here? No, I just wanted you. Come here, give me a hug. Not only did Esau not want anything from Jacob, he didn't need anything from Jacob. Come on, that's the point I need you to get. It's not just he just didn't want it, he didn't need it anymore. See, Esau says, wow, the goats and the sheep and the donkeys and whatnots. And Jacob's like, I don't know. I'm just trying to make sure you don't kill me. And then Esau's like, dude, I don't need any of your stuff. I got my own stuff. And then Jacob's like, well, you know what? That's fine. Well, let's just roll out of here. I know the way. No. Then Esau says, no. No, if you read the scripture, he says, and Esau says, no, I know the way. Follow me. Esau says, I'm going to step back into my calling. I know you're supposed to lead me, Jacob, but you know what? No, you follow me this time. I'm going to step back into what I was born to do. I'm going to step back into being who I was made to be. He said, why don't you follow me? I know the way. So they both, the Bible says they both had so much, tons of stuff. Here, let's look at verse number 7. There was not enough land to support them because of all the livestock and the possessions that they acquired. You know what that means in today's terms? The bank wasn't big enough. Come on. The bank wasn't big enough. They said, we don't have enough room. Let's get some more banks in here to hold all this cash. That's what it was. Once they finally got to the point where he shook off the bitterness, God opened up the channel of blessings in his life. When you decide to stop being bitter about what they have, you will open up a way for God to give you what's yours. When you decide to stop being hateful for what they've achieved, you will open up a way for God to give you opportunities that he has planned for your life. When you decide to stop being upset about their calling, God will lead you into your calling. Esau didn't waste time hating Jacob. He said, I don't have time for that. Somebody said, I ain't got no time for that. At this point, he let it go. He stopped asking, what about me? And God gave him more than he could ever have hoped for. But you've got to make the decision. Let me say it this way. You guys ready? When you are ready, it has to let you go. See, when you're ready, the yoke has to be shaken off your neck. It can't stay. That's the way it goes, okay? That's what it was said. That's the spoken prophecy. That's the way it is. And what that means, that if it's not gone, you're not ready. Oh, I know. You're like, well, okay, give me some other good stuff. No, I'm just going to tell you. If the yoke is still there, that means you're not ready. If every time they post something good, it infuriates you, you're not ready. If every time you hear their name, you get a little bent out of shape, you're like, what's happening to them? They're getting electrocuted. No, that's you hearing their name. If that's what happens, then you're not ready. If you get upset every time they advance, that means you're not ready. If you get offended every time they get something new or a new house or a new car or a new job, then you're not ready. Come on, I'm preaching to you. Y'all got quiet on me right there. Hear me. But the moment you're ready, what God does or doesn't do in someone else's life won't stop him from doing something in your life. Hear me. All right. Side note. Everybody say side note. Someone else's blessing doesn't have to be your curse. Listen. Just because your brother or sister is blessed doesn't mean you won't be. Just because they got pregnant and you didn't doesn't mean you won't. Okay, hear me. Just because they got a promotion doesn't mean you won't get a promotion. Somehow in our mind, we think just because they got this, we have to settle for this. Oh God, I know you're limited on resources. I know you're limited on blessings. I know that there's only, I guess just because they got that, I'm getting this. If they got married first, I'm going to have to do this. If they got that promotion, I'm going to have to settle for this. If they got this. There's no, why not you? Find where God wants you and forget about them. Hear me. Some of you have never stepped into your calling and you settled for far less than you are capable of because you are letting the advancement of others determine in your mind how far you can go. The advancement of others is determining how far you can advance. Because if they're blessed, I guess there's probably not going to be enough for me. Sometimes, now hear me. Sometimes it's just not your season. It's not your time. It's not that the world is against you. It's not that the devil has won. It's not that God has forgotten you. It's just not your time. Often it's not our time. And most of the time, oh, hear me, it's because we're not ready. So why don't we have that promotion at work? I'm not saying every time, but often this is the case. Why do we not have that promotion at work? Because if we had it, we'd mess it up because we're not ready. Now, why are some people still single? Because if God sent them the right one right now, they'd mess it up. They're not ready. Why are some people not getting elevated to the full potential of their ministry? Because if they got it right now, it would go to their head and they would mess it up. God's saying you're not ready. But when we are ready, that yoke has to go. When we decide. So, back to our subject. We always hear about how Jacob wrestled with God. What about Esau? It's not in the scripture, but he had to have some time where he wrestled with God. I think that's probably right. And a time where Esau was saying, basically, who am I? What about me? And when he got to the place that it was no longer about what they have and what I don't have, or what happened to me and didn't happen to them, that's when Esau finally broke free. I want to tell you a quick story. I was born in Macomb, Mississippi. And it was a beautiful time, a beautiful place. My family was there. We were involved in ministry. My parents were Sunday school directors, youth leaders, worship leaders. My dad played the bass. My mom sang and led worship. My father led worship. I mean, we were all involved. That was great, good times. But my three sisters were there, and we had a good time. We played a lot, but what I remember a lot, and probably the most, it'd be Sunday afternoons, for example. We'd go, and my father and I, between services, would go ride the motorcycle together. And we'd go up on Saturdays and go mow the church grass and ride up there together, and we're mowing the church grass. And then my mother was home, and we'd do all kinds of stuff, man. We'd just spend time together as a family, had a trampoline, a pool, just doing things together. Just lots of just fun. We went on camping trips. We just had I had a great, great time. Then it was time, and a lot of water under the bridge there, but different things happened, and it was time to move on from the businesses and do all that and become pastors here in Richmond, Virginia. We're doing good things. We're doing the right thing. I'm involved, playing the drums, playing bass. I'm an usher at a young age, walking up and down the aisle with a plate as big as me. And we're doing, the right thing. But then, something started to happen. I started gaining family members. And it was at first, it was like, 10, 15, 20, and I started getting a lot of brothers and sisters. And it's exciting, it's fun. And I started getting, there was 100, and then there's 200, and there's so many new family members in my family. And let me tell you something, I have amazing parents. There couldn't be any better parents in the world, in my opinion. It's amazing parents. They did a perfect job at parenting. But now, I'm sharing my family, my parents, with all my new family. And the trips kind of stopped for a while. The toys were gone. I remember all the things that we had before. I got a skateboard, and that was kind of my toys there for a while. And it was a skateboard, and I wore that thing out because that was all I really had there for a while. And the Sunday afternoon stuff couldn't happen anymore. And then during the week, everybody needed my parents, kind of as bad as I did. It seemed like, And I got to this point where I said, God, I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm doing the right thing, right, God? I'm obeying the will of God, and I want to do what's right, and I want to love your people, but there's something wrong in here, and I don't know what it is. I know I'm called to ministry, but I just don't want to. I'm supposed to love them, God, but something's wrong in me, and I don't love everybody like I should because I feel like there's something in there. There's some bitterness in there that I don't want it in there. And I got to this place, and I'll never forget it. It was upstairs in what's our Planet Kids right now. And one day I said, God, I'm ready, and I'm deciding that I don't want this yoke on me anymore. And I want to love your people the way you love your people. And I don't want to hold it against them that we were called to ministry and to do what we're called to do. And I'm tired of carrying this yoke around, and I'm ready, and I'm deciding that I want this yoke off my neck. And you want me in ministry, God? I'm going to be in ministry. And how did I know that the yoke was off my neck? Because I was able to find myself on my knees interceding for you amazing people. How did I know that it was off my neck? Because I'm able to find myself in this altar genuinely caring with everything in me what's happening in your life. This is not about me. I'm just trying to tell you a story. Today, we have to find ourselves in a place that we say, I don't know what I'm dealing with. I don't know what bitterness. I don't know how justified it may be, but I'm tired of carrying it. I'm tired of holding it back, and I'm tired of this weighing me down. And then when I can finally say that I love them and I'm praying for them and I'm celebrating with them, then the yoke is off of our neck. I'd ask you to stand if you would, please. I'd ask you to bow your heads and close your eyes for a few moments. If you've been asking God, what about me? God has not forgotten you this morning. I'm trying to tell you that. If you feel like you've been hitting a ceiling and there's a lid on your life, and I'm going to tell you it's time to shake the limits off. The ball is in your court this morning. It's your move when you decide.
On behalf of Pastor Joe Forbush and the Pentecostals of Richmond, thanks again for spending time with us today. God bless.